Something else that's been under fire, which is not on our list, but I want to portray it to guys who had a chance to see the race. So, Tim, I know you're in Myrtle Beach, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Uh, Fox's television coverage seems to be under fire a little bit, and I've stated publicly
Which part
before,
of it? Because I can open up my scroll here.
it seems to be all over the place. Everything from personalities to on-air talent to presentation.
To your terrible graphics, which we'll
And-
show you right here.
As Josh will edit that in later.
Hang on, let me let me block half the screen.
I've said publicly before, if you want to compare the two NASCAR partners in terms of television right now, I give the, and granted, I have to watch what I say because you never know where things may go. I give the nod right now to NBC because they seem to present NASCAR as a legitimate sport. They seem to talk about it like it's a legitimate big deal. There's no gimmicks, no games, no funny business.
I agree with you.
And if you watch the weekly program with like NASCAR America or whatnot, like you could honestly see how their presentation versus, say, a NASCAR Race Hub on Fox, NBC is treating it as if it's any other sport, NHL, hockey. If you watch on Fox, even when they have like the MMA shows for the mixed martial arts fights, that is different than what you see on Race Hub. Race Hub is more gimmicky, game show type stuff, and I don't think it represents a sport in a positive light. With that, I'll present it to all of you. And Scott, I'm assuming you watch the race from home, pretty much, like Josh, Josh, Sam, and I. Is the presentation a little bit askew on the Fox side, in your opinion, or is there nothing wrong with it at all?
You know what? I really don't watch it that closely where I complain about the coverage. I'm just happy there's coverage, period. I grew up when it was Wild World of Sports. We'd have to watch 20 laps, and then they switched to tennis or something. I'm just glad the race is on from green flag to checkered flag.
Hold on, Scott. Remember when we were kids, we used to go down to Mr. Buck's because he had that thing, that antenna that he could pick the races up from Delaware was the closest radio station. He had that big tower in his back.
That's the stuff we had to put up with. So
We
I'm
had to
just
ride
happy
our
to have a
bikes
channel that
a
shows
mile
it.
down the road to listen to some guy's radio that he could pick up Delaware in.
Yeah, I mean, that's the stuff we had to go through to watch races. So I'm just happy that it's on, And if they're talking about stupid stuff, I don't really pay attention to it. I just watch what's going on the screen itself.
Like tacos dropped on Denny Hamlin's car.
Yeah, I mean, this is going back from years. I mean, you always hear people aren't really happy with the coverage, and everybody has complaints. But it seems like people are willing to complain about anything. I'm just happy that we got a show to watch.
For the most part, I agree with Scott. I will say, from a more technical or production end, Fox seems to, like, what was it at Daytona last year in the truck race? The onboard cameras got the best shots of Kaz Grala and all that flip stuff that happened on the backstretch on like the last lap or two. Whereas the actual cameramen seem to be focusing on all the wrong stuffs or bits. It frustrates me because you'll see them go 3-4 wide, and then it's like, no, we're gonna go and switch to camera 7, which is this guy by himself or a crew guy just walking and sweeping something. It seems like they're focusing on the wrong things and they don't jump back, and you're like, but that's happening right there. Go back.
I did notice one thing I don't like yet: the helmet cam. I'm not really into the helmet cam.
What?
Really?
Yeah, because it's too bouncy. It's too bouncy. It's like watching a camera bouncing around. I would rather just have the in-car camera where it's held steady. I don't know why.
I'm a fan of that because I could show somebody who hasn't been in a race car before and say, look at what these guys are actually dealing with. And like, they get a first-person perspective of it without actually, because everybody on the outside, like I got a coworker who I love and respect dearly, my buddy John, who said he would come on because he's been an automotive mechanic for years. And he says, I feel like NASCAR's too easy. And I'm like, no, that's because you don't get it. And the only way that somebody's going to be able to get it is to see it in that light, and that helmet cam gives that perspective.
I know your head bounces in a race car because I've been in a race car.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You've been there before. Yeah.
All right, now, Eric, I'm with you on this. For both IndyCar and for NASCAR, I would love to see one in
amazing.
F1, but you'll never see that happen.
Well, it'd be like looking out a window with a split pane, just like
all right.
it's now with the Halo.
Can we fight about that a little bit later?
Yes, Sam. Presentation on the Fox side. A lot of people on social. I heard Fox Sports host Colin Cowherd say today that social media is nothing but a one of those funny mirrors that you look into at a church, like a carnival or something. Like a church bazaar or something like that. Like, it's not a realistic reflection of what society sees things to be. Everybody wants to complain about personalities, whether it be the Waltrip brothers, Jeff Gordon, Mike, whoever. Not attacking individuals here, but the presentation of the sport as a whole on the Fox side. Is it something that you think could be improved? Does it bother you? Do you watch the race on mute and throw on MRN? What do you do here?
Yes. And
I had a feeling.
besides the point, Eric Brennan, first off, if you followed me on Twitter at Sam Ballard Jr., any of my social media, you would know that I hate the new graphic for Fox.
Thank you.
However, as a rookie NASCAR fan like myself, I love it because it's so simple and it doesn't move. So, for example, if I want to see my boy Jeffrey Earnhardt finish last every race, I can look at the bottom of the scoreboard that doesn't move on the screen, and he's always going to be in the same spot. How convenient is that?
Are you saying he's always going to be in last?
Not next week. He won't be in the field.
No, he's not even last next week. He won't be in the field. But that's besides the point. But I just think it's really cool that it's there. I think it's a huge eyesore. But
Sam, can we agree that if they moved, you can learn the guy's number, and get rid of the name and shrink that graphic a bit?
I wouldn't do that for. You're always trying to recruit new fans. I mean, it's
besides the point.
What if we did it temporarily? Because you know how sometimes you'd have that doodling, back on the ESPN days, and then the thing would come up, and then it would doodling and go away. Could it
I think all they have to do is just adjust the video picture to the size of the window they're going to leave it as.
I agree. I agree with Eric. Do similar to what ESPN does with the whole Sports Center thing. They have that huge column on the right hand side. And
that's actually going to shrink it even more than where you're at. Yeah, unfortunately,
but most people have 60
size doesn't matter.
TVs now. So
I want all. I'm not going to say it.
Being the fact there is so much criticism on it, it'll be interesting to see if it changes at all going forward. And obviously, Formula One's right around the corner. IndyCar is in the midst of some testing, so this is a very heavily NASCAR-centric production that we're putting here together. So we're going to talk about a couple more things, one of which I thought was interesting, and I thought of Josh right away. Jeff Gluck of jeffgluck.com did his weekly 12 questions segment with Kyle Larson.
About time.
If you ever heard how Josh feels about Kyle Larson, you'll understand.
That guy's face makes me want to punch it.
Yes. That's pretty much something that Josh said about Kyle many times. And believe it or not, it was one of the questions on the 12-question format for Jeff Gluck. And it was Jeff asking Kyle Larson, who do you think has the most punchable face in NASCAR? And this is not you can go back about 20 episodes in the RPM podcast. Josh has been saying this for years, so I think Jeff Gluck's a listener to our show.
Must be.
But ironically, Stenhouse's reply, Larson's reply was that it's Ricky Stenhouse because apparently they got so drunk the night following the Knoxville Nationals that they started punching each other. So,
but then he almost recanted that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it happens. That was my St. Patrick's Day.
But then he changed it from Stenhouse to, he said, even
himself, because I guess he took a bigger shot. So, Sam, have you ever gotten so drunk that you punched somebody?
No, but Bailey, take note. This is why you don't drink.
I have a most punchable face in NASCAR. I don't think it's Larson or Ricky Stenhouse. Mine would be Brian France himself. I'd love to punch that guy in the face.
And the
we should
crowd
goes
drivers. Wild.
Yeah. You would have a lot of support for that.
I was just thinking back to my St. Patrick's Day because I ended up in a local sports pub, and I think my friend Sean and I were punching each other. But it was a good time.